This happened a few years ago. I was 32 and working as a freelance journalist. I loved taking long drives through rural Virginia. It was quiet, just me and the open road. One evening I was driving home and the late sun made everything seem warm. But there was something strange about the roads that night. I spotted a vintage car parked on the side. Its hood was raised. A woman next to it looked frazzled. She waved at me. I ran out of gas, she claimed as I stepped out. Something in her eyes felt off, but I offered to help. I loaded her things into my car. The air felt thick. As I glanced inside her car, I saw strange symbols carved into the seats. I didn't think much of it then. I figured people can be creative in odd ways. I told her I'd take her to the nearest gas station. The silence in the car was heavy. I tried making small talk, but she just stared out the window. After about 10 minutes, we passed a junction. She suddenly pointed. "That's the way to Spring Hollow," she said. I asked, "Where's Spring Hollow?" Her face became anxious. "Just take me there," she insisted. I drove on, even though my gut told me to turn around. My phone buzzed. I checked it. A message popped up about a crash on this road. My heart raced. I looked back at her, but she was staring at something behind us. "There's something following us," she whispered. That's when a chill ran down my spine. I didn't know what to do. I kept driving, but every second felt like an eternity. I dropped her off at a gas station. She thanked me, then vanished into the store without another word. I drove off, shaking off the unease like a bad dream. A few days later, I found myself driving those back roads again, looking for fresh stories. That day I met a man in a similar situation. His car looked old and beat up. He was frantic, asking for directions to a town that didn't exist. "Lakeside Haven," he said. My stomach twisted. It felt like deja vu. I thought maybe helping him would be different. But as we talked, I felt like I should have just kept driving. His eyes darted around, wild and distracted. I asked him what was wrong, but he just blurted, "I need to get out of here." I didn't know what to say. Then the worst encounter happened. It was a dark night. A man pulled up beside me in a truck. He rolled down his window and whispered about a shadow following him. I felt cold, like something heavy rested on my chest. I glanced behind him. There was nothing there. "Why are you with her?" he asked suddenly, looking me right in the eye. I turned to see who he was talking about. There was nothing behind me, just darkness. When I looked back, he had already vanished. I still think about those encounters all the time. Was any of it real? What was happening on those roads? I haven't been able to figure it out, and I don't think I want to. I tried to avoid those roads for weeks, but the memories crept back. Every scratch on my car reminded me of the odd looks, the frantic words, and the feeling that I wasn't alone. But the pull was too strong. One Saturday, I found myself driving back toward those winding paths. I didn't want to ignore what happened. I wanted answers. The afternoon sun was warm as I drove, but the shadow stretched longer than normal. It felt like something was watching me, lurking just out of sight. I shook off the feeling. Maybe it was just my overactive imagination. After all, nothing had happened since that night. As I passed through a small town, I spotted a roadside diner. I pulled in, hoping a cup of coffee would steady my nerves. The place was nearly empty, and the waitress seemed like she had seen better days. I ordered my coffee and tried to blend into the background. While I sipped, I couldn't help but overhear a conversation between two men at the counter. They spoke in hushed tones about something strange happening at the junction near Spring Hollow. I strained to catch every word. One of them mentioned shadows moving in the trees at night, people disappearing, and the townsfolk who'd left never coming back. "Everyone knows not to go near there after dark," the taller man said, glancing at me. I felt the weight of his gaze. "You're new here, aren't you?" "Just passing through," I replied, forcing a smile. The shorter man chimed in. "You shouldn't go down those roads. People have lost their way." There was an unmistakable seriousness to his tone, and it sent a shiver down my spine. Why? I pressed, curiosity getting the better of me. What exactly happened? The two men exchanged wary glances, as if weighing how much to reveal. Finally, the taller man spoke up. They say there's a woman, an apparition, drives like nothing's wrong until you're too far gone. My heart raced. What do you mean? She leads you to Spring Hollow or sometimes Lakeside Haven, and you never come back. You just disappear. I wanted to laugh it off as a local legend, but the fear in their eyes told me they believed it. I finished my coffee quickly, thanked them, and stepped outside. The sun was starting to dip below the horizon. I knew I should leave. As I got into my car, something in the rearview mirror caught my eye. A shimmer like heat waves off asphalt. I blinked, and it was gone. I turned the key in the ignition, but the engine sputtered. Panic clawed at my chest. I tried again, but it stalled. That's when I noticed the woman in the distance. Stood by a faded vintage car, hood up, just like before. My stomach dropped. I couldn't do this again. I stepped out of my car, hands shaking. "Do you need help?" I called out, my voice feeling small against the rising evening shadows. But she didn't look at me. She just stared toward the road behind me, and that's when everything seemed to go silent. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Then I heard it, a low hum, like a drone easing in, steady and relentless. A pair of headlights pierced the dusk. My heart raced as I realized they weren't coming from my car. The road ahead shimmered, and that's when I saw it. A dark shadow stretching long on the pavement, moving toward me like it was alive. The shadow grew closer, a twisting mass blacker than the night itself. I could feel its presence, heavy and suffocating. It was as if it reached out to me, urging me to step forward. My instincts screamed to flee, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. I blinked hard, trying to shake off the paralysis taking hold of me. The woman, still standing by her car, finally turned her head. Her gaze was distant, unfocused. It felt like she was trapped in another world. I wanted to scream for her to come back, but my voice was lost in the mounting tension. The low hum intensified, vibrating through my chest. It was no longer just a sound. It resonated within me, blending fear with something else, something I couldn't identify. Then the headlights broke through the dimness, illuminating the road like an interrogation spotlight. The vehicle was sleek and modern, a stark contrast to the crumbling vintage car beside the woman. I took a step back, heart pounding. Was this the figure the men at the diner warned me about? The apparition? Was it real, or was I losing my grip on sanity? The glow from the car enveloped me, blinding, but it pushed the darkness back for just a moment. I forced myself to breathe as the approaching car slowed, its tires crunching over gravel. It came to a stop, and the engine shut off, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The driver's door swung open, and a silhouette emerged. I couldn't see their face, only the outline of a figure stepping into the light. "Are you okay?" they asked, voice even but edged with concern. I wanted to reply, but instead I turned to the woman. "Do you know her?" I asked, voice shaky. But she didn't respond. She remained still, staring into the darkness beyond the road. The man's brows furrowed as he followed my gaze. "What are you looking at?" She just," I stammered, glancing back to where the woman stood. But the space was now empty. The fading light wrapped around me like a cloak, and my heart sank. The driver shot a nervous look at the woods, then back at me. "We should get out of here." "Did you see her?" I pointed frantically. "The woman, she was right there." He shook his head. "No one's here." Panic surged again. I felt compelled to find her, to understand what had just happened. I turned back to my car, but dizziness washed over me. The landscape blurred, and for a moment I felt lightheaded, as if I were being pulled into the air. I gripped the car for support. "Are you all right?" the driver asked, concern edging his voice. I need to find her," I said, determination cutting through my fear. But the driver grabbed my arm, keeping me in place. "Listen, it's not safe here after dark. If something is out there, we can't be part of it." The words hung in the air like a warning, and in that moment I understood the gravity of the situation. It wasn't just the woman I needed to find, it was the truth behind her. I wasn't sure what awaited me in that darkness, but something deep inside me felt it was important. Before I could respond, the shadows edged closer, suffocating the light around us. I knew I had to make a choice. "Get in the car," he urged, but all I could think was that I needed to uncover the mystery that had haunted me for too long. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted movement, a shadow darting between the trees. Whatever it was watching us. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I spotted the movement. My adrenaline kicked in, and a mix of fear and determination surged through me. I had to know what was happening. I couldn't turn back now, not when the truth was so close. The driver noticed my distraction. "What's wrong?" he asked, his eyes darting nervously toward the woods. "There," I pointed, but the shadow had vanished. It was just gone, absorbed by the trees, leaving me to wonder if I had imagined it. But I felt it, that icy itch at the back of my mind, telling me something was out there. "Let's go, now," he said, urgency thick in his voice. I hesitated, torn between the fear of the unknown and my desperate need for answers. "No, I need to find that woman. She was just here." Before I could argue further, the darkness seemed to pulse around us. The air felt electric, charged with something I couldn't identify. The driver's grip on my arm tightened. "We don't know what's lurking out there. We can't stay." Yet deep down, I felt an undeniable pull toward the forest. "I can't leave her. What if she needs help?" "Help?" he echoed, glancing over his shoulder. "Or what if she's the reason those shadows are coming closer?" His words hung between us, and just like that, I felt it. The shadows thickened, their presence becoming undeniable. I could hear whispers, soft and haunting, drawing me in. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of movement again, a shape weaving through the trees. Whatever it was, I had to confront it. "Wait, just 1 minute," I insisted, and before he could respond, I tore my arm free from his hold and stepped toward the tree line. "Don't!" he shouted, but the darkness beckoned me. I could feel the cold air wrapping around my bones, calling me deeper into its embrace. I moved cautiously, heart thundering, as I ventured further from the light. Each step felt heavier than the last, pulled as if by an unseen force. Then, just as I reached the edge of the trees, I saw her, the woman from earlier. She stood illuminated by the pale glow of the moon, her face frozen in an expression of longing. "Help me," she whispered, voice barely rising above a breath. I took a step closer. "What do you need?" But before she could respond, a dark figure shot past me, swift and menacing. I stumbled back, my pulse racing. The driver was shouting my name, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from her. "Run!" he yelled, fear coating his words. The air was thickening as more shadows materialized from between the trees. There was no escape now. I turned to run, but the dark figures closed in, surrounding me and the driver. Panic surged as I grasped for something to hold on to. Then, everything went dark. A cold wind swept through, snuffing out the last remnants of light. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came. Anxiety twisted in my stomach as I felt the shadows swirl around me, pulling me in. They whispered things I couldn't comprehend, and in that moment I realized I was not just facing the darkness, I was becoming part of it. I jolted awake to disorienting silence, the overwhelming blackness pressing against me like a weight. My head throbbed and I struggled to sit up. The shadows that had consumed me now felt like a distant nightmare, but I was still trapped. I blinked, trying to adjust to the complete darkness. My breath came in shallow gasps. I couldn't remember how I got here or what had happened to the driver. I felt the ground beneath me, rough and uneven, like I was lying on an old stone path. I pushed myself to my feet, my heart pounding. Every instinct screamed for me to run, but I had no idea where to go. The air was cold and stale, wrapping around me like a shroud. I took a careful step forward, straining to detect any sounds. That's when I heard it, faint, echoing whispers that rolled through the air, chilling and indecipherable. They twisted and turned, almost mocking me from the unseen depths of the forest. It was as if the very woods were alive, taunting me, waiting for my next move. I glanced back, shuddering at the thought of the shadows returning. I had to move. With no better, I felt my way forward, one cautious step at a time. Just as I began to gain confidence in my footing, I suddenly spotted a flicker of light up ahead. Hope surged within me, and I quickened my pace toward the glow, weaving through the trees. But as I got closer, dread washed over me. The light flickered like a dying candle flame. What could it mean? As I approached, I stumbled into a clearing. In the center sat an old, rusted car, its engine cold and silent. The headlights were still on, casting an eerie glow around the area, but there was no driver in sight. I stepped closer, scanning the scene. The car looked abandoned, but something felt off. It was as if it had just been left there moments ago. There were no signs of life, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Then I noticed something in the passenger seat. A crumpled piece of paper lay on the dashboard, flickering in the light. I reached inside, my instincts screaming at me to turn back. As my fingers brushed the paper, I recalled the whispers growing louder. "Help," someone urged, but the voice faded into the static noise of fear in my mind. I unfolded the note. It was a map, hand-drawn, with a trail leading deeper into the woods. I looked around, feeling the presence of unseen eyes watching me. The goosebumps prickled down my arms as I considered my options. Should I follow the map? Just then, I heard a low growl, a sound that sent ice through my veins. I whirled around, panic gripping me, as I spotted a figure just outside the clearing, masked in darkness. My chest tightened, and for a moment, I was frozen in place. This time, there was no mistaking it. Something was coming for me. I tore my gaze from the shadow and bolted back toward the cover of the trees, the note clutched tightly in my hand. I ran blindly, adrenaline fueling my legs, but every whisper I heard felt like it was closing in, reaching out to snatch me back into the darkness. I didn't know what drew me to that clearing, but one thing was clear. I had stumbled into something much larger than myself, something that wanted me to stay. And as I raced away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being led into a trap. The forest felt alive around me, branches swaying in a phantom wind as I pushed through the thick underbrush. The flashlight flickered in my grip, its fragile beam barely cutting through the darkness. I could still hear the growl behind me, echoing off the trees, reminding me that I wasn't just running from shadows. Breathless, I stumbled over roots and rocks, my mind racing. I could follow the map, but what if that was the very trap I feared? Every instinct screamed to escape, but where could I go? My heart pounded a frantic rhythm that felt synced with the whispers in the trees. "Help," it seemed to say, beckoning me deeper into the unknown. Just as I considered my next move, I caught sight of a break in the trees ahead. A narrow path opened up, illuminated by the moonlight filtering through the canopy. It felt inviting, as if it held answers instead of threats. Continuing to run, I hesitated only a moment before darting onto the path, the note still clutched tightly in my hand. The whispers began to fade, but I was still hyper-aware of the sounds surrounding me. The growl had ceased, replaced by a heavy silence that made the hairs on my neck stand up. I dared a glance back, half expecting to see the figure again, but instead I was met with only the emptiness of the woods. As I pressed on, my feet crunched on gravel, a stark contrast to the damp earth I just left. My heart sank as I saw something ahead, a flicker of light, but not the warm glow of hope. It was a dim, searching light, like a lantern in a distant window, moving slowly through the trees. My pulse quickened, and I crouched low, hiding behind a cluster of ferns. I held my breath and watched as a man appeared, shuffling cautiously along the path. He looked disheveled, clothes torn and dirty, like he had wandered these woods for days. He carried a lantern, its flickering light casting eerie shadows across his face. There was something unsettling about his expression, an unfocused gaze that seemed to look through me. "Help," he called softly. I felt a chill run down my spine. "I'm stuck, please." His voice was warped by desperation, but he didn't seem to see how deep in the woods he was. The whispers grew louder, dancing in the back of my mind, urging me to reveal myself. I couldn't tell if he was dangerous or if he simply wanted help like I did. My legs trembled, and it was impossible to decide. The growl returned, closer now. Panic surged within me again. This wasn't just about me anymore. In a flash of instinct, I turned to run down the path, away from both the man and whatever lurked in the shadows. I sprinted past the flickering lantern, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw him begin to follow. "Wait," he called, the desperation in his voice sending a cold shiver through me. I didn't stop to answer. There was something off about him. I needed to get away. The path became narrower, twisting as though trying to hide the way forward. I could sense the growl gaining on me, and every ounce of fear told me I needed an escape route. Just as I reached a fork in the path, everything changed. The whispers coalesced into a single voice, clear and powerful. "This way." In that moment, I realized someone, or something, was guiding me. Then I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind me. I glanced back, heart racing, to see the man gaining ground. I had a choice to make, and I had to choose quickly. I could follow the whispers, or I could confront the man who claimed he needed help. Within me, a new urgency pulsed. I had to decide, and whatever path I chose could lead me to salvation or deeper into the nightmare. I took a breath, my eyes darting between the left and right forks ahead. The whispers echoed again, tugging at my instincts. They promised safety, but did I trust them? Behind me, the man's footsteps grew louder. I decided. I plunged to the left, trusting the whispers to guide me. The path narrowed, twisting down a steeper slope. Thick branches reached out like claws, snagging at my clothes as I pushed through. I stumbled but kept going, each step fueled by adrenaline. The man's voice grew faint, and relief washed over me. Maybe he would give up the chase. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The trees loomed ominously, casting shadows in the moonlight that felt alive. Panic flared like fire in my chest. "This way," the whispers insisted again. I followed their guidance, heart pounding, until I broke into a small clearing. The moon hung low, illuminating a weathered wooden sign half buried in underbrush. I rushed to it, squinting at the faded letters. "No trespassing," it read. I hesitated. Should I turn back? Just then, a rustle in the bushes made me jump. I crept toward the sound, peering into the darkness. That's when I saw something glinting in the dirt. I crouched down, brushing away leaves. It was a small metal object. A key? No, it was a locket.
I opened it and saw two faces inside. Familiar faces. One was my sister, her smile warm and bright. The other was the man from the path. Suddenly, the growl returned, deeper and more menacing this time. I froze, clutching the locket in my hand, heart racing, a mix of recognition and dread. The man was closer now, his frantic shouts echoing through the clearing. "You don't understand! You can't leave!" I spun around, ready to bolt, but the growl rumbled louder, coming from the shadows behind him. The fear in my gut twisted tighter. I could see his eyes wide, reflecting the glint of the moon. Was he afraid too? Or was he hiding something darker? Before I could decide, something massive burst from the trees behind him. A shadow, almost a blur, lunged forward. The man shouted, and terror etched his features. I couldn't breathe as I watched it engulf him. The growl morphed into a deafening roar, and I was frozen. Then everything went dark. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in the clearing, the moon now shrouded behind clouds. I felt disoriented, the locket still gripped tightly in my palm. Had it all been a dream? But the fear remained palpable, crawling beneath my skin. I struggled to my feet, instinctively scanning the edge of the clearing. The trees seemed to close around me, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. My legs felt wobbly, and I was unsure which direction to take. But I had to move. That's when I heard it again, a faint rustling behind me. My breath caught. Someone or something was still here. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone, and a new tension began to coil in the air. Swallowing hard, I turned, ready to face whatever had come to find me. I turned slowly, heart pounding in my ears. The rustling came again, closer this time. I took a cautious step back, ready to flee if I had to, but curiosity clawed at me too. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaking. No answer, just the wind whispering through the leaves. I strained to listen, but it felt like the forest was holding its breath. I needed to know what was behind me. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward into the dense underbrush. Each rustle made me jump, my pulse quickening. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught movement. Something small and quick darted behind a tree. I squinted, trying to see what it was, but all I saw was a flash of fur, blending perfectly with the shadows. A deer, perhaps? That felt wrong. My gut twisted at the thought of being watched by something less innocent. I shook my head, trying to clear my mind. I had to find a way out of here. Cautiously, I crept toward the edge of the clearing. The whispers in the trees seemed to grow louder, wrapping around me like a fog. "This way," they called, leading me deeper into the woods where I had just escaped. "That's a bad idea," I murmured to myself. But as I looked back, I caught another movement, a shadow slipping through the branches. Alarm bells blared in my head. My body screamed at me to run, but the locket in my hand felt heavy. My sister's face stared back at me, urging me to find answers. I took one last look at the clearing, then turned sharply, making my way past the twisted trees. I had to move faster. The path seemed to lead downhill, and I stumbled as it dipped beneath thick roots. The whispers gathered around me like ghosts, their tones shifting. Some demanded I go back, while others beckoned me forward. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the forest. I spun around, adrenaline flooding my veins. There, emerging from the shadows, was a figure. It was the man, the one from the path. But his face was now distorted, shadowed behind the mask of the branches. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice strained and hoarse. "You have to leave now. They're coming." "Who's coming?" I demanded, bewildered. "What are you talking about?" He took a step closer, his eyes locked onto mine. Panic reflected in them. "The thing that got me, it didn't just want me, it wants you." Before I could respond, the growl returned, low and guttural, pulsating through the air like a heartbeat. I felt my breath catch again, dread pooling in my stomach. I took a step back, glancing only for a moment over my shoulder at the bushes. What was hunting me? With a jolt, I realized the man was gone. The shadow shifted again, and I swiveled back to the path. My heart raced as I noticed something lying on the ground, a torn piece of fabric, smeared with dark stains. It looked too familiar. Then, in the corner of my eye, I saw the silhouette moving again, this time from a different direction. A new fear gripped me. Whatever it was hunting us both. I had to move. My instincts kicked in, and I ran, feeling the weight of every footfall echoing my fear. But as I sprinted, I could hear the growl growing closer, the shadows creeping in from all around. I could feel it behind me, a darkness I could no longer ignore. I pushed myself harder, branches scraping against my arms as I tore through the underbrush. The growl pulsated in my ears, a primal sound that sent shockwaves of terror through me. I didn't dare to look back. I could feel its presence, something dark and relentless breathing down my neck. The path I had chosen twisted and turned, seemingly leading me deeper into the heart of the forest. Panic threatened to crush me as I stumbled over roots and rocks, my lungs burning. Every rustle of leaves felt like fingers reaching out to grab me. I couldn't let it catch me. Ahead, the trees thinned out for a moment, and I caught a glimpse of shimmering moonlight. Freedom? I hesitated. A flicker of hope surged within me. A clearing? I just needed to reach it. I pushed forward, feeling the cool breeze against my skin as I neared the edge of the trees. But just as I was about to break free, a new sound echoed through the air. A haunting cry, almost like a child's laughter, twisted and distorted. I froze, heart hammering. What was that? Before I could process it further, the growl returned, louder and more threatening. The shadows pressed in around me, thickening, swirling. They were alive, or at least they felt that way. My instincts roared. I had to get out, but I was paralyzed with fear. Then I saw it, a shape creeping between the trees, a silhouette emerging in the moonlight. My breath caught. It was large, a shadow among shadows, limbs long and wiry. I could see its eyes, pale, glinting like 2 points of ice. I turned back to the path, my legs finally responding to the sheer terror coursing through me. I clambered over brush, barely aware of where I was going. That laugh echoed again, but this time it sounded closer, like it was just behind me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to know. A loud snap made me jerk upright. I was close to the edge of the clearing now. Light danced in front of me as I stumbled out, the trees separating behind me. But I couldn't stop. I had to keep moving. I bolted into the open space, breathless, and finally stopped to look back. The forest was dark, alive with noise, but I didn't see the thing that hunted me. For a moment, it felt like I was safe. Then I noticed something strange on the ground, a circle of broken branches and disturbed earth. My heart dropped. This was no ordinary clearing. That's when I saw it, a flash of color in the darkness. It was red, blending with the earth, and I felt a sickening jolt of recognition. A piece of clothing, torn and stained, further confirming the terrible truth. And in that instant, I heard it again, whispers rising like a tide. "Help me," they seemed to plead, fragile voices blending with the trees. I turned just as the growl erupted behind me, fierce and louder than before, shaking me to my core. I ran, but this time it felt different. I wasn't just fleeing, I was being herded. The flashes of red and the echoes of cries followed me, each step dragging me deeper into horror. I knew then that I had to confront whatever was in the shadows. I had to get answers, even if it meant facing the thing that wanted me. A surge of determination filled me, even as my heart raced. I was done running. I had to find out what was really happening in this forest. And as I took a deep breath, I felt a shift in the air, the wind carrying warnings, calling me back. I couldn't turn away now, not when the truth was so close. The wind rustled through the leaves, carrying whispers that felt like secrets begging to be heard. My heart raced as I stared into the darkness beyond the clearing. It had ensnared so many others. There was no denying it. But I couldn't let fear dictate my fate. I stepped forward, determined to confront whatever lay in that shadowy abyss. "Help me," the voices echoed again, sharper this time, pulling me deeper into the mystery. Could I really trust them? Were they guiding me toward salvation or destruction? Each footfall felt intentional, vibrant with purpose. I hesitated, the memories of the woman, the driver, and the frantic man flooding back. They had all been led down this path. Had they succumbed to the lure of darkness, or had their struggles been more than mere fleeting encounters? The growl returned, more menacing, growling beneath my skin. It was growing restless, perhaps sensing my resolve. My gut twisted in response, but I pressed on, reaching the boundary of trees, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon me. "Turn back," a voice cried, piercing through the
Cacophony, a desperate plea mingling with the chorus of whispers. "No," I murmured, clenching the locket tightly in my fist. Whatever awaited me, I needed to know the truth behind it all. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about understanding the fate of those lost in this unforgiving labyrinth. With a deep breath, I stepped into the shadows. Instantly, the air shifted, thickening, transforming reality into something almost surreal. I could feel the darkness enveloping me, but there was clarity in its suffocation. Knowledge threatened to surface. Moving cautiously, I scanned the twilight fog, searching for remnants of the past. "Where are you?" I called softly, urgency threading my voice. In reply came jagged whispers, swirling, crashing against me like waves. Gradually, forms began to materialize amidst the haze, figures of those who had walked this path before me. Each face a story, a fragment of what had been lost. I could see pain etched in their features, guides trapped in an endless cycle, forever lost. "Stay with us," one murmured, drifting closer, eyes hollow yet luminous. "We know the way. We can help you." My heart twinged with fear and empathy. "No, I won't stay," I shouted, feeling panic surge as their voices crescendoed, pleading with me to halt, to join their somber gathering. "I want to escape." Suddenly, the growl roared louder, disrupting the rhythmic whispers. The figures recoiled, their faces twisting with fear. Panic surged again, compelling me to move. I bolted deeper into the darkness, bursting through the barrier of lingering shadows. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but I needed to press forward. The dense thicket around me began to thin, and I spotted a glimmering light ahead. Something tangible, a beacon of hope amidst the oppressive dark. As I neared the light, it became blinding, illuminating everything it touched, casting away the remnants of despair. There it was, an old structure, the diner from earlier, abandoned but still standing. Familiarity washed over me, and I stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with a sense of abandonment. Tables were overturned, and shadows danced on the walls as the weak light flickered. I approached the counter, my eyes widening as I spotted a figure behind it, the woman from the road. She gazed at me, calm in the chaos, eyes brimming with unshed secrets. "Why?" I gasped, breathless. "What is happening? Who are you?" She simply smiled, a gesture both inviting and unsettling. "You've come to know the truth, but the truth can be dangerous." The words echoed in the stillness, sending shivers through me. "I've lost so many. Are they trapped here?" I felt desperation clawing at my throat. Like you, they sought answers. Her voice was eerily soothing. You can find your way back, but you must pay a price. What price? My voice trembled. Understanding, she replied softly, that the shadows do not want to consume you. They seek what is owed. They watch, waiting for what is due. The growl reverberated again, ominous, as the shadows around us flickered and throbbed. I realized now time was slipping away, the balance tipping between realms, pulling me apart. The truth felt within reach, yet hung suspended, akin to a dream slipping through desperate fingers. I turned back to face her. I won't abandon those lost in this place. She smiled again, and I could see in her eyes a depth of knowledge, a flicker of freedom mixed with eternal longing. Then followed the light. Before I could respond, the diner shook, the walls shuddered, the growl more pronounced, thundering around me. I closed my eyes, breathing in deep, the scent of warm coffee and sun-drenched mornings flooding my senses like a lifeline. When I opened them again, the shadows expanded, the light shifting around me. I glanced back, but the woman was gone, leaving only the echo of her words. You can find your way back. Tension thrummed in me as I turned slowly. The exit loomed ahead, and I rushed for it, fighting the pull of darkness clawing at my heels. A surge of adrenaline propelled me forward. I stumbled back into the moonlit night, breath hitching. The world shifted, swirling in vortexes, reality crumbling, yet I pushed onward. I had to embrace the terror for the truth to unfold. I found the path just beyond the clearing, a narrow trail that lessened the weight on my chest. Shadows whispered, their true nature paper-thin against my resolve. I ran, feeling the grip of something elusive and ancient snapping behind me, yet I dared not look back. I fought through every tendril of fear, fueled by determination and the haunting realization that I wasn't just a victim of the shadows. I was their witness, and perhaps in that I had a chance. In the chaos of night and shadows merging into one, I felt glimmers of hope rising like dawn as I pressed on, not just escaping, but seeking, yearning for the freedom I couldn't quite grasp yet. But even as I ran, questions spun in my mind, tangled like the roots beneath my feet. What would I find at the end of this road? Would I ever truly escape the shadows, or simply join their tale? And would the woman return, the essence of the truth still haunting my dreams? I didn't know. All I could do was keep moving, pushing through the uncertainty, fighting to illuminate the mystery that lay ahead.